a very interesting saying in the isiZulu language that is connected to the history of the Amazulu people is the saying Sobohla Manyosi. Just two words. Sobohla Manyosi. Let's first look at the two words. Let's analyze it, and then we will go into the story connected to this very, very interesting saying in the isiZulu language. The words Sobohla Manyosi literally mean it will shrink Manyosi. So Manyosi is a name, and the first word, it will shrink, refers to the stomach, isisu. And if we spread the word Sobohla a little out, it would be isisu siyobohla Manyosi. The stomach will shrink Manyosi. And in this proverb, it is referring to the stomach of Manyosi, the man called Manyosi. So, that is the literal translation. Ukubohla is when something shrinks, becomes smaller. And the words are directed to Manyosi as a warning that points into the future. Manyosi, your stomach is still going to shrink. Okay, so these are the words. Let us look at the when it is used. This proverb is used and it's directed usually at a person or a group of people, but usually a person who is very full of himself and maybe his achievements or what he has gained, and it's going well with that person. And there's a chip on the shoulder. There's a sense in that person that, listen, I'm invincible. Nothing can stop me. And this proverb is then directed to that person to say, Sobohla Manyosi. That stomach of yours is still going to shrink, Manyosi. You think things are going well with you now? Wait and see. You will return to a normal state. It's a warning not to be arrogant. It's a warning not to look down on other people. And maybe it's a warning to take heed if somebody says it to you. Maybe. Who was Manyosi? Why were the words directed to him specifically referring to his stomach? How did things play out for Manyosi? Was he a real person? And the answer is yes. Manyosi was a real person in the history of the Amazulu people. A couple of things that we know about him. He was the son of a man called uDlegezela. So Manyosi wabomfoka Dlegezela wagwambata, from the Mbata people. So he was a Shandu. Manyosi. Even today, at a place called Mahlabathini, there is a feature in nature amongst the hills called Isihlalo Sega Manyosi. And they say that this feature in the hills is shaped in the form of a horse saddle. So at Mhlabathini, there's a place called Isihlalo Sega Manyosi. That's what we know concerning his father. Then we also know that Manyosi was recruited into the army of King Senzangakona Gajama in round about 1816. And he served in the Amabuto, in the regiments of King Senzangakona Gajama, in the regiments of the Amabuto of Ushaka Senzangakona, Isilo, Dingane, kasenza ngakhona, and also in the regiments, the Amabuto of King Mpande kasenza ngakhona. So he served under 4 consecutive kings: King Senza ngakhona, Gajama, ilembe leqamanye maleme ngoKhalipha, then King Dingane kasenza ngakhona, and also Mpande kasenza ngakhona. We also know that Manyosi was a ferocious warrior. Wabaikawe. Umanyosi. He was a ferocious warrior. So he was, just one example, you might know this if you are a mother tongue Zulu speaker. If not, maybe you do not know this. One of the greatest battles during the time of King Shaka kasenza ngakhona was between him and his arch rival Zwide Wagwandwandwe. And at this one battle, it actually consisted of 3 phases, but focusing only on the first one at Gori Hill, which is not too far from Ulundi. At that battle, it is said that the Ndwandwe warriors mocked the Zulu warriors, and they said to them that they are sitting like izimfene, like baboons. Okay, that's what the Ndwandwe warriors said or screamed at the Zulu warriors. And Umanyosi was so angry. When he heard this, he stood up and he brought a couple of the Ndwandwe warriors. He just brought them down. He went into their midst. That was Manyosi, a ferocious warrior. So the various kings indulged Umanyosi. In other words, they gave him extra privileges. For example, Manyosi he had an insatiable appetite. So he was a ferocious eater. Okay, when it was time to eat, Manyosi was able to sweep an entire goat. Okay, a goat that was prepared to be eaten. He would finish off the carcass of a full goat and finish it off with the sauce of that goat. He would finish it all off, and here's the important thing: without sharing one piece with those around him. Okay, and that was frowned upon. People would think, but why doesn't he share? But the various kings, King Shaka kasenza ngakhona, and those further, it was especially during the time of King Dingane kasenza ngakhona that Manyosi, with his eating habits, he developed a huge tummy, umkaba, during that time. Okay, so he had an appetite, this man. But he was indulged. It was allowed. Why? Because he was a ferocious fighter. Okay, in the Amabuto specifically, the regiment called Izimpahla. So that was where Umanyosi was. Something else that we know about him is he was a real joker. Okay, the jokes that he told were really enjoyed, especially by the kings, Izilo, under which he served. Now back to our proverb, Sobohla Manyosi. After the Battle of Blood River, Undlela Gasompesi Wagwantuli, his advice to Umntwana Mpande, he was still a prince at that time, Mpande kasenza ngakhona, the advice to him was to cross over to Ungalonkulu, which is Andries Pretorius of the Voortrekkers, to cross over to him and to find refuge amongst them. This incident is referred to in isiZulu historiography as Kwagabuga Igota. The rope snapped. This is when Prince Mpande crossed over, and he actually followed the advice of Undlela Gasompesi to go over to Ungalonkulu, Andries Pretorius of the Voortrekkers. All the detail as to why Undlela Gasompesi said this just shortly,